Tonight, the Warriors are back inside the San Jose Arena to finish up a 1997 beginning three-game homestand, having won one and lost one on the stand tonight. The Warriors will decide if it's a winning or losing stretch at home as they take on the club with the worst record in the NBA, the 6-27 Vancouver Grizzlies. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to an evening of Golden State Warriors basketball on Sports Channel with Jim Barnett. I'm Greg Papa. It looked like the Warriors had started to turn the corner, Jim. They had won 4 of their last 5, but in their last ball game, they lost to the Charlotte Hornets here by a score of 109-101. And a lot of the problems they had the first 6 weeks of the season cropped up in that game on Monday night.
Well, I've seen some progress. I think they're taking steps because now they've known and shown themselves that they can beat teams that are below 500, teams they need to beat. But yes, they are faltering down the stretch against better clubs in the league, and they're not going to get some confidence unless they beat some of those teams eventually.
Well, that's what we think of the Warriors, but for a guy who can really give us some perspective, let's turn to Warrior co-captain Chris Mullin, who's been around here longer than anybody.
We're a pretty fragile team right now. We got to just take, it's an old cliche, one game at a time, but even a win, no matter who we play, no matter who it's against, is important to us because that's the best reinforcement. You can practice hard, the coaches can have us watch film and all that stuff. But if you don't win, you don't get that good feeling about each other, about your own individual performance. So, if we can get a stretch where we can string a few together, then it may turn. I really don't think it's turned yet because it's still been 2 wins, 2 losses, a win, a loss. And that does not really push you forward.
Well, the schedule in the next couple of weeks, Jim, may help the Warriors find that successful stretch tonight, and then tomorrow night up in Vancouver, they take on the 6-27 Grizzlies. Then it's on the road, and the Milwaukee Bucks are the only team of the 5 they'll face that right now has a 500 or better record.
Well, you can see the next 6 games on the road, then coming home to Dallas before you face Detroit. This is going to be another test. Can the Warriors beat teams that are below 500 on their home court? So this is something that could also fuel a little confidence and get them going in the right direction. It's going to be a severe test going back east next week.
And the Warriors feel before heading on to the trip that they're going to have to beat Vancouver tonight and tomorrow night. Tonight will be the Bay Area return of Sharif Abdur-Rahim, the number 3 overall pick out of Cal, Jim. In November, he was decent, had some moments where he played like a rookie, but in December, he began to show the signs that he may be the future of this franchise.
Well, he had to wait till he was 20 years of age on December the 11th. This guy is going to be a terrific basketball player at this level because he's got size, he's got quickness, he's got instincts for the game. We asked him, was it a mistake to come out of Cal after only 1 year of basketball?
I can't say. I don't believe that if I'd have stayed in school another year and then left, that year I'd have been a better pro than I would now. I felt like the only way I was going to become, better on this level is to be here and go through the things that young players go through. So, I feel comfortable with what I'm doing.
He has invited the whole Cal basketball team out tonight to the San Jose Arena. We'll see which members of the Bears come out to watch his new Bears team, the Grizzlies, as they take on the Warriors. We'll come back in a couple of moments, check in with Brian Weber back inside our Sports Channel studios.
Golden State Warriors basketball on Sports Channel is brought to you by Chrysler. Take a test drive at your Northern California Chrysler Plymouth dealers today. By Southwest Airlines. With fares so low, you have the freedom to go places. By the Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary. And by the California Lottery. Is it you? Is it me? Who's next?
With Jim Barnett, Greg Papa back inside the San Jose Arena. Looks like a thin crowd tonight, maybe the smallest of the year in the homecoming of Sharif Abdur-Rahim. He will make the start tonight at small forward. George Lynch will start at power forward for the Vancouver Grizzlies, the former Laker, playing extremely well. In the middle is second-year man Bryant Big Country Reeves, and he is having a very poor second year in the NBA. Lee Mayberry will start at point guard with Greg Anthony playing off the bench, and a second former Laker, Anthony Peeler, will start at big guard. He is playing very well for head coach Brian Winters. Second year with the Grizzlies. They were 15-67 a year ago, the worst record in the NBA, and that's where they are right now, 6-27, the worst mark, having lost 5 in a row and 7 of their last 8. Felton Spencer back in the starting lineup tonight, did play off the bench in the Warrior loss to Charlotte on Monday and played very effectively in 27 minutes, but tonight he's back in the lineup, flanked by Chris Mullen and Joe Smith along the front line. In the backcourt, Mark Price at point guard. Mark is 13 points away from scoring 10,000 in his NBA career. And Latrell Sprewell will round out our Southwest Airlines Warriors starting five. Rick Adelman's Warriors, a bit of a setback on Monday night, a 109-101 loss to the Charlotte Hornets as the Warriors reverted back to earlier season form where they were unable to beat a better than 500 club, and they had particular problems in the fourth quarter, Jim, when they scored only 20 points on 4 of 18 floor shooting.
Well, you could see that starting to happen actually in the second quarter, where they went 4 minutes without scoring, outscored by the opposition 13 points to 0, and it came back to haunt them in the fourth quarter.
Latrell Sprewell will have a good matchup tonight with Anthony Peeler, red hot. His last 5 games better than 21 points a game. His last 14 games, of which he started all 14, better than 20 points a game. He started very poorly this year. He said his worst ever shooting slump of his career at any level, high school all the way back to grade school. Anthony Peeler, along with George Lynch, they picked up both of these former Lakers in the same trade. It was basically part of the Lakers' salary dumping, Jim, to clear off cap room to go after Shaquille O'Neal. Well, the other side of the story is that Peeler and Lynch have played very well for the Grizzlies. Lynch will be a tough matchup for Joe Smith. He's playing very ruggedly up front.
Yes, he has the past 3 games averaging 14 rebounds a game. And, of course, against his old team, the Lakers, he got 16 on January the 5th. George Lynch was subpar the last couple of years, scoring average going down, but he has been playing better as of late. And Anthony Peeler, great three-point shooter. You got to watch him.
Abdur Rahim jumping center for the Grizzlies, and not their center, 7-footer Bryant Reeves. Mark Price now 11 points away from 10,000 as it took him only seconds to get on the board tonight. Mark playing very well of late. Last 3 games better than 17 points a game. He had 22 against Charlotte on Monday. He matches up with Lee Mayberry into Bryant Reeves. There's a traveling violation on Reeves.
Felton Spencer obviously read the book on Reeves. He loves to set up on the low block on the left side and hook to the middle. Spencer took that away. He shaded him.
First time the Warriors and Grizzlies played this year, November the 3rd in Vancouver. The Warriors won 105-95. Spencer was not yet a Warrior. Technically, he was traded by the Warriors, traded for the Warriors. Picked him up the day before, but he didn't arrive in Vancouver in time. Mark Price to miss. Mullen tips it over to Bryant Reeves. And up the floor to Peeler. Dribbled it off his foot. Mullen trying to slide into second base. And he was hooked there by Bryant Reeves. They do call an over and back violation. Nice hustle by Chris Mullen.
I like this. Now, Mullen knew exactly who he was going to meet as he came in rather tenderly. Made sure he got the backside. Adelman likes the hustle. I thought Mullen made a great play just to tip the ball initially. Tried to tip it to Joe Smith. There's Brian Winters, the head coach. And speaking of 10,000, he scored 10,537 in his career. 2-time All-Star.
Joe Smith on the Mullen miss goes right back up and gives the Warriors a lead of 4-0. Here's Anthony Peeler, blocked by Sprewell. He has Mayberry and Peeler to beat. Nice play. Spencer out in front as Price threw it in a dangerous spot there. Looked like Price should have gone in and scored himself, but he felt it wasn't there, and Spencer barely got possession of the ball. Sprewell a quick 3. Joe Smith right up over Reeves. Tipped in by Chris Mullen.
With the quickness, the Warriors should get some offensive rebounds tonight. It's nice to see Mullen hanging in there and keeping the ball alive.
Well, Vancouver, Jim, is by far the worst rebounding club in the NBA. Mullen got poked in the face, and a 20-second timeout is called. Trainer Tommy Abdenauer sprints out to attend to Mullen. Let's take a look at the replay and see where Bryant Reeves caught Chris.
Might have been there.
Abdur Rahim.
Abdur Rahim reaching up.
Abdur Rahim with the especially long eyes apparently got Chris in the eyes, or one of the eyes.
Well, the way Abdur Rahim came up, you'd hope that he doesn't have long fingernails. It doesn't look like it was a poke as much as a scrape across that left eye.
Which could involve scraping the cornea, which would be a more severe problem. In fact, it's severe enough that Mullen's coming off the floor here. Daniel Marshall, those are the numbers Darnielle had up in Vancouver on November the 3rd. The Warriors only dressed 8 guys that night because of injury to Joe Smith and the trade, and Danielle was good in that game. This is Danielle's first appearance since the one-game suspension against Philly last Friday. Did not play against Charlotte on Monday, but Danielle has been working very hard in practice. A 3 by Springwell, and the rebound of Battle. Still don't have a winner yet. It's Danielle Marshall. Warriors a 7-1 rebounding edge on Vancouver. Up the floor, Abdur Rahim. What a play.
He can glide, Caddy, and he still had enough to come up and over the rim on the other side. He knew exactly where he was going to go and what he was going to do.
Price took that ball to trouble once again, and fortunately for Mark, the Warriors do not lose the possession. So it is Danielle Marshall now matching up with Sharif Abdur Rahim, something you and I detected up in Vancouver, Jim. They are very similar players in style, Danielle Marshall and Rahim.
Yeah,
Abdur Rahim.
They're very fluid.
Sprewell will go to the line, trying to finish off a three-point play, fouled by Bryant Reeves.
Now, Rahim is his strength in the open court. He's so fluid, and he can run from inline to inline easily. That ball was almost thrown on the inline itself as it bounced into Sprewell. Made a three-point play out of it.
Sprewell off to a quick start. Spree has scored 3 points. Sprewell, now the NBA's #4 leading scorer at precisely 25 points a game. Here's a foul off the ball. And it's on the Vancouver Grizzlies. I believe it's called on Abdur Rahim. Well, they got it on Lee Mayberry. On Lee Mayberry, his first foul of the game. Mullen obviously got it in the left eye, as that area has become a little swollen and also changing color on him. Vancouver is able to offset their terrible rebounding by keeping possession of the ball. Usually they average just slightly better than 15 turnovers a game, but the Warriors are all over them tonight as they are out rebounding them, and Vancouver's been sloppy. It all adds up to a first 3 minutes of Warrior domination. Timeout called by Brian Winters. The Warriors lead the Grizzlies 11-2. Only negative from a Warrior perspective early on tonight. Sharif Abdur Rahim reaching in, and I think he got Chris just below that left eye, Jim, which is probably long-term a good sign, but for the short term, his eye is swollen up beneath the left eye. Here's Abdur Rahim, and he's fouled by Felton Spencer.
Yeah, I saw Dr. Mickey Krinsky checking Chris Mullen out. Dr. Krinsky is an orthopedic surgeon, and certainly he could detect if there was anything visible wrong with Chris Mullen's eye. He's got an ice pack on it right now. Trainer Tom Abdenauer attending.
Abdur Rahim will likely be in this spot quite a bit tonight. The guy shoots almost 6 free throws a game. Had a terrible free throwing game in their last outing. They lost to the Lakers up in Vancouver. They were beaten by a score of 95-82, and he missed 6 of 10 free throw attempts in that game. Abdur Rahim has all 4 of their points. Warriors throw it away. Mark Price again with a bad pass, wiped by Lynch. Peeler, 3. Rebound to Joe Smith. With Chris Mullen on the bench due to injury, Danielle Marshall gets the early call tonight at small forward. While moving players around, gets the ball to Joe Smith, and he gets the roll. Joe has 4 points, and the Warriors lead at 13-4.
Joe Smith has such a soft shot.
Lee Mayberry, former Milwaukee Buck, over to Anthony Peeler. Into Bryant Reeves. Out of a double team, able to roll it down. Reeves is coming in after arguably his worst game as a pro against Shaq and the Lakers on Sunday night. He scored only 2 points in the game and shot a very poor 1 for 9.
Again, Shaq's much bigger, but he's also quicker than Country Reeves.
Joe Smith, the air ball, pulled by Abdul Rahim.
This is where he's really good.
Ball tipped but not in by George Lynch. Traveling violation on Felton Spencer. George Lynch, former Laker from Hollywood, with the acting job a bit there on the back pedal, helped get the call. And then Felton stumbled.
Yeah, Felton stumbled. He got him right in the chops with that right elbow. Lynch looking for the call.
One problem Bryant Reeves has had this year, Jim, with Abdul Rahim and Anthony Peeler more a focus of the offense. He's not getting the amount of touches he got last year during his rookie year, and it's thrown his game off.
What happens, a lot of guys, once they get it then, they become one-dimensional and very predictable. I think Country has fallen into that little syndrome right now.
Peeler can really score. A little tough on the shot. Felton Spencer diving over the end line.
Well, we mentioned Peeler, just under 21 points a game over the last 8 games, led them in scoring over the last 4. Right now, he's trying to get on the board a little too hard. Shot that one way hard. Good hustle by Spencer.
Well, he can be a very streaky player, Anthony Peeler. He has missed his first 4 shots tonight. Shot clock at 21 as the Grizzlies inbound, as the ball was escorted out by the tumbling Felton Spencer. Sharif Abdul-Rahim has become a better outside shooter. In the first month of the season, Jimmy, a hard time with that outside shot.
Well, he was streaky. He still is a little streaky. He's more of a scorer than a shooter.
Illegal defense on the Grizzlies. They are scrambling defensively, doing a lot of switching with their guards. Brian Winters, who tried to build this team on defense. Last year they were a very good defensive team, but this year they've become much more porous, giving them almost 99 points a game, which is high by today's NBA standards, Jimmy. Teams are shooting 47%.
Yeah, they need more bulk. They simply need some tougher guys. I think, yeah, go to the baseline. That's where Marshall had to move.
Blocked by Abdul Rahim. Out of bounds off of George Lynch.
Rick Adelman applauds the move. I thought Marshall had a chance to continue to the basket, and I thought he gave the advantage away as he pulled up. I think he could have muscled on in and maybe got himself to the line.
Mark Price out of the baseline. His miss pulled down by Marshall, then taken away by Lee Mayberry. Up the floor is Anthony Peeler, and he'll be on the free throw line. Well, on Joe Smith, his first infraction of the evening.
That last play at the other end, Danielle Marshall got a rebound and then just brought it down and wasn't aware of people behind him. He just has to be more alert.
Anthony Peeler, second leading scorer behind Sharif, and he has a club record 17 straight double-figure scoring games coming into this one. So by and large, Jim, he's getting the playing time to overcome his streakiness from game to game, and he's getting up enough shots.
And over the last 10 games, he's shooting 50% from three-point range. He finished number 19 in the league last year. And you can see, by far, he loves more than 1 out of 3 of his shots come from behind the line.
Those are his first 2 points of the game. Here's Mark Price at three-point goal. Price now with 5 points. He needs 8 more to become the 201st player in the history of the NBA to score 10,000 points.
And I like to see Sprewell look for him. It usually comes from Mullen. With Mullen out, Spree and Price are going to have to work better together.
Well, I like Sharif Abdul-Rahim, and we saw him the first weekend of the year, Jim, but I like him a lot more tonight. Man, is he smooth offensively.
He's smooth, live, agile. Not as big as Kevin Garnett, but can do some more things with the ball than Kevin. He can handle it much better in the open floor and go to the hoop.
He's just slightly older than Garnett. Rahim again trails one. Rahim is the 4th youngest player in the NBA. In fact, a friend of his from Marietta, Georgia, has given him a nickname, the Future. And I have to go along with it, Jimmy. Clearly is the future of this league.
Well, all the other guys came into the league right out of high school. So he's the youngest who went to any bit of college right now.
Joe Smith was dinged on a play up on the perimeter now. Shot clock down to 4. Joe is not healthy. Esprilla at the side of the backboard. Not enough to reset the clock. Joe looks better as he puts it back in.
He got healthy fast.
He's really going back with a noticeable limp.
I don't know whether he got stepped on from behind on his left leg or whether he got hit in the back or the hip, but he's not favoring anything, not holding anything. He is limping, though. Something maybe he can just play through.
Traveling on Anthony Peeler.
As you said, he is really inconsistent, and that drives coaches up the wall. Brian Winters was a very fundamental player.
So an outstanding player during his 9-year career. He made the All-Star team twice. 1 year with the Lakers, then he went to Milwaukee in the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade. Drive by Price, and he's fouled by former Buck Lee Mayberry. And that is Mayberry's second foul of the game. Likely an opportunity now for Winters to make a player change. He would bring in Greg Anthony here, the backup point guard. And that's what he's going to do. Anthony will check into the game. Anthony, the longtime starter for Vancouver. In fact, he was their leading scorer last year, but he missed 10 games due to a fractured ankle. Now he's playing off the bench.
Watch the left side of your screen. Oh, that's the left knee that Joe got bumped. But he seems to be okay now. Luckily, he gave away with the weight.
Was hit by George Lynch. Danielle Marshall gets his first 2. Very important game for Danielle. His first game back after the suspension. And as I said, he's been working very hard the last couple of days with Warrior strength and conditioning coach Mark Grabo.
And it's interesting that Adelman called on him, not Ray O's, in the lineup, and also an opportunity for Danielle.
Well, he knows how hard Danielle's been working the last couple of days. He obviously felt it was important to reward Danielle early tonight. Joe Smith, well, that's a good sign if you're a Warrior fan, that Joe, after apparently injuring that left knee in a collision with George Lynch, has looked very frisky the last couple of moments. Joe has 8 points now. Peeler barging in. And a foul called on Danielle Marshall. That'll put Anthony Peeler back on the free throw line. You can see where Ryan Reeves would be lost in the shuffle here. Anthony Peeler, obviously a wonderfully gifted offensive player, likes to drive it, shoot it. Had a good game against the Warriors early in the year. With the 21 points, he was their leading scorer that night, a 10-point Warrior victory. Warriors have never lost to the Vancouver Grizzlies. And they've beaten them all 5 times they have played. And they'll know a whole lot more about them, Jim, at about midnight tomorrow night. They're going to face the same team up in Vancouver tomorrow night.
Well, Vancouver's only won 1 game on the road, and it's a team you just don't want to give much life to. Last time they played, that was the 3rd of November. Warriors jumped out to a 33-20 lead at the quarter. 2:53 to go tonight. They're leading by 7, 22-15.
Warriors lead the Grizzlies by 7 in the game's first 9 minutes. Our next broadcast here on Sports Channel, January the 21st. Long, long time away when the Dallas Mavericks will be in on a Tuesday night. The reason this game is so long in coming, the Warriors are heading on the road. They will play their next 6 away from the Bay Area, beginning with tomorrow night, when they'll be up at the Garage, as they affectionately call it, General Motors Place in Vancouver, British Columbia, for the second half of this home and home with the Grizzlies. Then it's on the road for 5. Chris Mullin poked in the eye early in the ball game tonight.
He's looking better. At least he doesn't seem to be squinting. You can see that he's got a problem, and what a graphic that is about free throws, Greg, and you and I talked about it before the game.
Very interesting. We talk a lot about Chris Mullin's shot attempts from the floor night to night, how they fluctuate, but look at the free throwing disparity from the early years of Run TMC, when Hardaway was with Mullin and Richmond for the 89-90 and the 90-91 year. That's when Chris shot better than 7 free throws a game. Joe Smith, a missed dunk as he got around the defense of Lynch, but missed the shot.
Again, I think he's so far under the basket that you've got to get up even higher to come out in front to try to dunk, rather than just lay it in softly.
Abdul Rahim gets stuffed inside. Good Warrior help defense.
I think Danielle got it.
Joe Smith the pop. Joe has 10 points. on 5 of 8 shooting. Whatever he had wrong with that knee, Jim, it has not affected his jump shot. It is going down as softly right now as it did early in the game.
I don't think he even feels it right now, quite frankly.
Ryan Reeves is wrapped up and fouled by Todd Fuller as Todd just checked into the game. That'll put Reeves on the line. B.J. Armstrong is in. And he'll be taking Mark Price off the floor.
Good help from Joe Smith, but actually better defense individually from Donyell Marshall. Now, remember, Donyell never used to move his feet like that and regain position. He just smelled the play and got up, interfered there a little bit, but it was gone down.
Abdur Rahim is keeping the Grizzlies in the game. They did not give Bryant Reeves 2 free throws a moment ago. They called that on the floor foul, very debatably. Here goes Donyell against Sharif. He blocked his shot earlier, and he played good defense on him this time. Joe into Marshall. Good look by Joe and a smart play by Donyell to roll to the rim.
Trying to go in and get rebound position, but I think Joe was thinking more than just the basket. Maybe get Marshall on the board. Give him a little confidence. Good play.
Now Joe Smith is guarding Sharif Abdur-Rahim. George Lynch is being defended by Donyell Marshall. Lynch slipped inside and gets the offensive putback.
He's strong. He made a cut after he gave up the ball, and Donyell could not recover.
George Lynch is putting his career together after not playing too well as a Laker first-round draft pick. But he is playing extremely hard. Here's a foul on George. It's his second foul of the game. Well, he and Peeler have really given the Grizzlies a big lift. Good look by Joe.
Last sequence down. Picks up the assist. You know, the problem with George Lynch, he's just a little undersized for the power forward spot. He's only 6'7". So you can see Joe may not be able to penetrate and get him inside as deep as he'd like, but then he can stop and turn and shoot over him, put him in a vulnerable situation.
Now here's the guy I know you're going to like, Jim. Yep. Roy Rogers, a round 1 pick, number 22 overall out of Alabama. He is playing backup center, but they're going to play him at a very big front line now as Bryant Reeves will stay out there. And they're going to play Roy Rogers at power forward along with Sharif at small forward. Greg Anthony has also checked into the game, replacing Mayberry. He's been in for the last couple of moments. Anthony at point guard wears number 2, and Peeler plays the big guard.
George Lynch will try to bump you. Rogers will wait and try to block. He is a jumping jack.
Roy Rogers in for George Lynch. Anthony blocked by BJ. They had some great run-ins when Anthony was a Knickerbocker. Trying to save over the end line. He can't. And the ball goes back over to the Warriors.
You know, it's early, but you get the feeling that Vancouver plays on the road with a lot of apathy. They play like they don't even think they can win. I mean, that's the attitude I get.
Well, they are 1-14 on the road this year. Nice passing. Warriors hit the cutter, and it's B.J. Armstrong, fouled by Greg Anthony.
Let's see what happens here. Well, you couldn't see it, but defender trailing all the way on the play. Just let B.J. make a direct cut from 25 feet away.
B.J., the 7th best free thrower in the NBA at 88%.
Well, here we go. B.J. makes a cut. Hey, can you believe that? He got his defender to turn his head. Greg Anthony, supposed to be a great defender, looked over at the ball and never had any vision on B.J., just let him cut right to the hoop. That's what I'm talking about. That's just not good defense, and Greg Anthony's a much better defender than that.
Warriors now with a game-high lead of 11. They have led the entire way after jumping the Grizz 6-0. Here's your last play of the first quarter. Who says this guy does not have a perimeter game? My, oh my, puts it on the floor and effortlessly just floats in for a jumper. Springwell, what a shot that was. He almost knocked that down from the other side of midcourt. The best player on the floor in that first quarter was Sharif Abdur-Rahim. He was outstanding with 14 points. Joe Smith wasn't too shabby. He had a dozen. And it's Smith and the Warriors who have the 9-point lead after 1 quarter of play. Here's tonight's 50 Years, 50 Stars. Warriors' choice for the night, brought to you by the San Francisco Examiner, the afternoon paper. Jumpin' Joe out of McClymonds High School in Oakland, a school that produced both Bill Russell and Frank Robinson. Also produced Joe Ellis, and it was on to the University of San Francisco, Jim. And he was a round 2 draft pick in 1966, and a guy who could really score in the NBA, a wonderfully athletic player.
You talk about a streaky shooter. When Joe got hot, he was impossible to stop. Fadeaway jump shot, 6'6", small forward. Only weighed about 180 pounds, and today weighs about 181. But Joe Ellis, teammate of mine for 3 years. Remember his sophomore and junior years, they played in the West Regional Finals against the UCLA Bruins. UCLA, John Wooden's team, they won their first and second NCAA crowns, and they had some very close games. As San Francisco, if they had beaten UCLA, they may have gone on and won the entire NCAA. Played with Ollie Johnson, Russ Gamina, Erwin Muller.
Oh, Raheem went up for a dunk, and he lost the ball going up. And a foul's been called on the reach of Latrell Sprewell, his first foul of the game. Check out the bolting move of Abdur Rahim. And look at the compliment the Warrior coaches are paying him now. Sprewell has slid over to guard Sharif.
Well, he's got a vast array of shots. He can come down the lane and pull up and shoot that little floater. He can face up very well.
Warriors will be on the road for quite some time, but when they come home, the 21st of January, the Mavs will be here. The 23rd, Grant Hill and the Pistons will be here. And the 27th, Vancouver back in for their second and final game here in San Jose with Sharif Abdur-Rahim. Get your seats via Bass. You got to tell that Joe Ellis story tonight. I'm going to set aside some time.
That will come to pass. It is funny.
Stories that I've ever heard. E.J. Armstrong missing a 3. Rebound to Abdur-Rahim.
It is worth telling, yes.
Oh, I laughed even when I heard it 6 times, and I still laugh. Look at this guy spin, go up, and Bryant Reeves able to shovel it back in, but Abdur-Rahim is really playing tonight. He has 16 points, and it's all revolving around him. Vancouver would have no attack whatsoever if it wasn't for number 3. Now he's got to guard Sprewell, which will be a challenge on the other end. Well, Sprewell's playing small forward, Jim.
The threat with Abdur underneath. Last time down, he didn't even come close to make the shot, but he drew such a crowd of defenders, it was wide open for Bryant Country Reeves to put it back in. And that's what going to the basket and that threat will do for you.
Sprewell trying to front him. Sprewell's going to have a similar problem tonight, Jim, and it may even be more exaggerated as Blue Edwards comes in for Vancouver that he had against Glenn Rice, because Abdur-Rahim is taller than Glenn Rice by a little bit, and he's also longer.
Well, he also goes to the basket with much more authority and certainly much more talent going to the hoop. Now, he cannot shoot like Glenn Rice.
No, but who can? Not Greg Anthony, although he is a better shooter this year, and in particular, a pretty good three-point shooter. Here he goes beyond the line, barely hit the rim.
Guess who?
Yep. Sharif, 18 points for Abdur-Rahim. Marshall off the floor. Rahim gets back and blocks the shot. But a late foul is called by referee Mike Mathis. I thought Abdur-Rahim got it cleanly. We'll see who the foul's on.
I think
it is on Sharif.
I think Mike Mathis was waiting to see if the basket had gone down. He would not have blown the whistle. Clearly, that ball was in the hands of Todd Fuller before the whistle blew. Yeah, could Danielle? Yeah, I thought he could have come up and under. You know how Joe Smith does and come back to the front, let those other guys go by. He's fortunate to get himself to the line, but he did run the floor well.
Danielle Marshall got together with Warrior GM Dave Twardzik and Warrior strength and conditioning coach Mark Grabo, and they said basically, if you want to play more, you've got to get in better shape. Lee Mayberry back in. Greg Anthony's time on the floor is going to be brief. Out there for just 6 minutes, and he's pulled. And as I say, Danielle has been working considerably harder. In fact, he had a Mullen-type drill before the last game against Charlotte here, where he came out to shoot. A lot of times you see Danielle come out and just kind of float around, shoot easy. He was really going from spot to spot on the floor, Jim, and before the game, he was working up a ladder.
That's why I'm never really concerned about something that happens in practice, a one-game suspension. That's turning a real negative into a real good positive, and sometimes players need that. Certainly in Danielle's case, he did, and he's responded well.
Now the secret will be to respond throughout the season and not just for a week or two. Blue Edwards, a three-pointer. Blue having to adjust to a roll off the bench this season. And he too, like Greg Anthony, has lost time due to injury. VJ rails a three. And the Warriors have a lead of 9 at 36-27. Lee Mayberry plays point guard for the Grizzlies with Greg Anthony on there in a 3-guard look now.
See what I like about Abdur Rahim? Got a foul called underneath, but when he catches the ball, a lot of young players start to put it on the floor, but he's fundamentally sound. He comes up, he's right-handed, you watch. He'll have a left foot pivot foot, and he does not squander the dribble. He doesn't waste that dribble. He faces his man and utilizes that jab step, makes the man play him honest, and that's why he's able to shoot from the outside. Then when they come up, he can go around with that long stride.
Sprewell leaves. Likewise for Todd Fuller. Joe Smith is back into the game. Ray O's in for the first time. Here's Roy Rogers. Vancouver had a very good draft this year, getting Abdur Rahim #3 and plucking this guy with a 22nd pick out of Alabama. He has been a ferocious rebounder, one of the best shot blockers per minute in the NBA, Jim, and he's shown some flashes of offense.
Yeah, they're good complementary players because he doesn't have to worry about offense with Rahim in there.
Danielle had it poked his way. Block, goaltending, no. He shot the ball downwards. He was above the rim when he let the ball go. A 3 by Anthony. Big swing for Vancouver. Adelman's irate, and he appears to really have a beat.
I totally agree. Because Danielle took it right up and over the rim and dropped it out of his hand.
Joe Smith, big move. And a foul. Blue Edwards and Roy Rogers tried to cut him off at the pass. Foul is on Roy Rogers.
And Danielle is still a little upset about that. Did not voice a lot of disapproval coming down this time. But see there?
Oh, my. Yep. Absolutely goes in. Well,
he's got very long arms. He took it right up to the rim and released it, and it was floating down.
Joe Smith, his last 6 games, 27 points a game and almost 12 rebounds a game. Tonight he has 12 points and 5 boards. Warriors leading 36-32. Warriors a record of 12-19. They have won 4 of their last 6 despite the loss against Charlotte on Monday. And the Grizzlies at 6-27. They've lost 5 in a row and 7 of their last 8. As Jim was saying, they don't do well on the road. They have only won 1 road game all year, and that was at San Antonio. And that was the game that essentially got Bob Hill fired. Mayberry lost it on the way up. Good save by Ray O's. O's had a big game in Vancouver earlier, you'll recall. That was a little indecision and a change in thought by B.J. Armstrong, and it cost him the possession.
He just got a little greedy trying to get an easy basket, and he had to pass through the defense, and all of a sudden it closed up and the gap was not there, and that's why he traveled. Trying to make the right play, but forcing.
Rebounding a little more even after the Warriors' big start. They pulled 7 of the game's first 8 rebounds, but now it's 18-14. The Warrior edge down to 4.
They had 10 offensive rebounds in the first quarter.
Oh, look at that, look at that.
Roy Rogers gets deep. There was a switch. Bimbo Coles and B.J. Armstrong were forced to guard him inside. Rogers is long and tall at 6'10". Warrior lead, which was 11, is down to 3. Second quarter has not been kind to the Warriors this year when they've been forced to go to the bench.
I was going to say, the bench has to pick this up, and they got to start taking a little personally.
Rogers one-on-one with Joe Smith. Mayberry slides over to help. And the rebound shot over the leap of Ray O's. Anthony to Mayberry. Anthony, a 3-pointer, and he knocks it down. He's having a very good year beyond the line, shooting a career-high 39% of his threes, Jim. Ties the game at 37. Vancouver a 10-1 run.
The thing about Anthony, he's only a career 40% shooter.
Stay beyond the line, he'd be better off, huh? Springwell's going to come back into the game when we come back. That was a good game last night between the Sabres and the Sharks, winding up with a 1-1 tie. St. Louis Blues will be here tomorrow night with new head coach Joel Quenneville. They lost at home last night to Edmonton in Quenneville's debut by a score of 5-2. Brett Hull, one of the biggest stars in hockey, will be on display tomorrow night. We'll have that game for you at 7:30 right here on Sports Channel. Well, the Sharks now with 2 All-Stars, looking at likely a Warrior All-Star this year, Latrell Sprewell. Vancouver, after being outscored in the first quarter by the Warriors by 9 points, they rally here and outscore them by 9. It was 30-21 after 1 quarter of play, and now we are tied at 37. Sprewell was resting the last couple of minutes. He's forced back in a little earlier than Adelman probably had planned. Shot clock at 4.
Yeah, they've got their defensive unit in.
Tough shot over Roy Rogers. Rebound to Lee Mayberry.
Good defensive pressure from Mayberry and Ante. 2 good defensive guards. And then you've got Roy Rogers helping out with a little shot block and intimidation.
Boy, a nice turn and score. He averaged only 13.5 points a game last year, his senior year at Alabama. But he has shown some real flashes. He is a magnificent athlete along the lines of a young Larry Nance. Grizzlies have their first lead of the game. Here's a BJ 3. Also, the Grizzlies have taken Abdul Rahim off the floor for the first time. So we'll see how they respond without their top player. Tipped out by Felton Spencer. Vancouver will keep the possession. More changes. Mark Price returns. And V.J. Armstrong leaves. We are midway through this second quarter. Into Rogers. Ryan Reeves having to fight for an offensive rebound. Well, he got the ball pounded inside to him almost every play last year, Jim. Now he hardly ever gets it. Here's a foul on Big Country.
A great pass from Joe Smith. Unfortunately, Felton Spencer bobbled it because he was wide open under the basket, almost as if he wasn't expecting it. Watch this great bounce pass. Down low, Felton could not pick it up cleanly.
You mentioned interesting decision by Rick Adelman to turn to Donyell Marshall before going to Rayos, and certainly that was a product of Donyell's good practices the last couple of days. Also, Andrew DeClerc is not in, has not been put in the game yet. Andrew had played pretty well in the first half against Charlotte on Monday. Only got 6 minutes. Did not play at all in the second half. He's kind of lost a spot in the rotation right now.
And I was kind of surprised because Charlotte pretty much handled it with the rebounding department. And DeClerc came back with that slam dunk. Right now the Warriors have their own problems because this defensive-minded group out there for Vancouver has taken them out of sync.
Mark Price throws it away. Roy Rogers with another jump shot from the corner a moment ago. Rogers off the bench has lit Adelman up for 8 points. You might say this Roy Rogers has a quick trigger.
I like that.
I knew you would. I beat you to it.
And he's got speed too, like a bullet. We're going to stretch that one.
Well, he really has played well lately. And when you see a rookie taken that late in the first round, the 22nd overall pick, and a big guy emerge before the all-star break of his rookie year, they may be onto something.
Yeah, I tell you what, if he drives a Jeep called the Nelly Bell, we're in trouble here.
Ball tipped out. Over and back. Uh-oh, that ball he thought was...
they're calling a controlled tip.
Yeah. And not just a rebound. I have to debate that call. I think the guy that tipped it out was clearly aware of what he was doing. He didn't care about midcourt. The ball hit the rim is what Winters is saying. Obviously it did that. The question is, on the tip, was it a controlled rebound? I don't believe that's the case. They're going to overrule here and give the ball back to Vancouver. Let's take a look at it.
Kenny Maurer made the call. No, that's not controlled at all. He just batted it.
And Reeves again.
It was on Reeves.
Now that one's a little more debatable.
That was a little more controlled.
The point is that Reeves could have caught the ball, and he elected to bat the ball back. And that second tip, watching it on a replay, you see the point of the referees, although Winters is going to win the argument, and now Adelman looks for an interpretation from lead official Mike Mathis.
And Mike Mathis made the decision to overturn it.
Mayberry by Mark Price, and Price is forced to reach late And Mark picks up the foul, his first foul of the game. 4:45 to go in the half. The Warriors led by 11 in the first quarter, by 9 after one quarter. Now they're down 2. Ryan Reeds, a 6th overall pick last year. Nice move, but he missed the shot. He may have taken an extra step along the way. Mark Price. Blue Edwards tips it, but Sprewell picks it up. Spring, a step back 3. Big shot. The Warriors needed that as they reclaim a lead of 42-41.
A couple of years ago, he did not have that in his repertoire. And not many people could shoot that shot with accuracy. And finally, that shot is impossible to stop.
This is Brian Reeves' spot on the floor. He resets. They don't double team him, and he can make that shot all night. The way teams have been defending him, Jim, is doubling him, making him get the ball up, give it up, and the ball never comes back inside to him.
And with Abdur Rahim, as you mentioned earlier, less often.
Rogers tipped that pass, ill-advised entry pass by Sprewell. Greg Anthony, nice step out the weak side. He scores a layup by Sprewell.
He just lets Spree's speed go racing by.
Joe Smith over Reeves. Rogers got him from behind. Felton Spencer, power move up, but too strong.
Roy Rogers intimidated that.
Reeves had it slapped away by Price. Tipped, but it still finds Bimbo Coles for a 3. Rebound to Blue Edwards. Warriors only a 2-rebound edge on Vancouver, 22-20.
Well, the Vancouver defense has been much more active. They're playing more together, and so they've been more aggressive. They're going to the ball.
Edwards gives Vancouver a 5-point lead. The comment you made early on could really come back in the Warriors' face. The fact that Vancouver was playing apathetically and they looked to lose on the road. Well, if they hang in a game here by halftime, it's going to be quite the opposite in the second half.
But what's happened is players have come off both benches.
Price a 3.
And the Vancouver bench lifted them. The shots are hard to come by.
In particular, Greg Anthony and Roy Rogers have played extremely well off of a winner's bench. Mark Price has hit a pair of 3s. He has 8 points now. Shot clock at 5. Warriors don't double Rogers. He misses the jump hook. Well defended by Joe Smith. Under 2 minutes to go in the half. Here's Price. Bumped and fouled by Lee Mayberry. And that'll be Mayberry's 3rd foul of the game. He's a good defensive point guard.
Never averaged more than 6 points, nor 4 assists in his 4 seasons at Milwaukee, but he's pretty steady.
Timeout called by Brian Winters here. Late in the first half, his Grizz have a 2-point lead. Warriors down 2 with less than 2 to go in the opening half. Look for exciting Warrior 5-packs. 5 games to choose from for only $100. 4 different plans to choose. One has Michael Jordan and the Bulls. One has Shaquille O'Neal and the Lakers. Another has Charles Barkley and the Rockets. And one plan features Penny Hardaway and the Orlando Magic. So call the Warriors at 510-986-2222.
Well, the second quarter has been all Vancouver. Now, that was a good steal, but it was a worse pass by Sprewell. This is not a good decision. Anthony goes reverse. Watch this as Joe Smith goes in. 3 defenders collapse. And now all of a sudden you've got 5, I guess that's teal blue jerseys in the middle fighting for the rebound. Good hustle again. Their defense, and this is what Brian Winters has been trying to instill in this club for a little over a year. Defense wins at this level. You're not going to beat people strictly with offense. That's a good example.
Nice pass by Sprewell into Joe, but good recovery by Roy Rogers. Second one he missed. Rogers really intimidating inside. And a good defensive rebound. Steal by Sprewell. Anthony races back. Sprewell!
That was, I'm tired of this. I'm going to do something dramatic, dunk.
Ryan Reeves the turn. Andy's foul will go for a three-point play. Reeves loves that block. The left block, he either will turn middle for the hook or turn baseline towards the fade.
Oh, nice. Greg Anthony did not give up on this play. Woo. That was determination and very decisive.
Here's a combination of Walt Frazier and Dominique Wilkins. Frazier with the steal right off the dribble. Walt couldn't go in and dunk it like that. Ryan Reeves missed the free throw. Reeves has 8 points. Sharif Abdur-Rahim still resting. Well, they're playing well without him. Rogers sweeps this ball into the crowd. It's Warrior ball, and the shot clock is reset. Rogers, first team All Southeastern Conference last year at Alabama. 23 years of age. He spent all 4 years with the Crimson Tide.
Look how he looks to get help.
He knows how to play.
Yep.
Anthony Peeler bumping with Felton Spencer. Nice save. Out of bounds it goes. It's off of Vancouver.
Blue picked it up and his heels were on the line. Should get a good angle and a good look at it. See, he's standing on the line. Tried to get away with it.
They gave the Warriors a fresh shot clock there. And a palming violation on Sprewell. Ball goes right back over to Vancouver. Each club has committed 10 turnovers. The Warriors clearly missed the presence of Chris Mullin. Chris played only the first 2 minutes of the game. And then he got poked. He had his eye closed at the time, so the fingernail of Abdur-Rahim did not go into his left eye, but it has caused him to experience some swelling beneath the eye, and Mullin is back in the locker room right now. Whether or not he plays in the second half, we'll have to find out. Anthony, a missed three right to himself. Oh, he's short on that one. Stays with it, though. Blocked and fouled, and he'll be on the line.
Sometimes the guard lapses into that, and Mark Price did so on this occasion. He went running at him with the long three-pointer, kept on going down court, hoping the Warriors would get a rebound off of that missed shot. Instead, it bounded back, which only does about 10 to 15% of the time. Straight back to the shooter as he ran it down on the baseline, and Mark never got back into play.
Ray O's returns for Rick Adelman as he wants a little sleeker lineup here. Felton Spencer leaves. Felton did not practice yesterday. Really gutted his way through 27 difficult minutes here on Monday. Clearly, he lacked mobility on Monday with that bad foot.
And that's why it was even more surprising that Andrew DeClercq didn't play in the second half.
Warriors are down 4. Here's your last play of the first half. Bimbo Coles, a three-pointer. Right back up, Bimbo Coles, side of the backboard and a two-pointer. Did that go in time? Yes!
Goaltending.
Roy Rogers will block it in time to give the Warriors and Joe Smith the basket. Let's take a look at Rogers. He is a little goaltending prone.
But a good play by Joe Smith. Never gave up on it. Got it away just in time.
And it was going in either way. Latrell Sprewell taking out a little of the Warrior frustration. And a tough first half with a nice steal. And rip as he gets Greg Anthony, but the Warriors are down 2 at half. The San Jose Arena, where surprisingly, the club with the worst record in the NBA, the 6-27 Vancouver Grizzlies, lead the Warriors by 2 points at halftime. Part of the Warrior problem, Chris Mullin only played the first 2 minutes of the game, then got poked by a Sharif Abdur-Rahim fingernail right inside the eye. Actually had his eyelid closed at the time. Whether or not he plays in the second half, we'll have to find out. Now, we sat down with Chris before the game, and there's a look at the injuries. You see the puffiness and the blurred vision possibly for Mullin. Again, only able to play the first 2 minutes of the game. The Warriors clearly missed the presence of Chris Mullin and all he brings the team. We had a chance to talk to Chris before the game. This is the year of the missed shot in the NBA. Team shooting 45% on average, but Mullin is the 4th best shooter in the league, and we asked him why he's shooting well when nobody else seems to be able to.
I would, off the top of my head, I mean, I haven't really put much thought into it, but I would say shot selection. is a big part of it. I think style of play. You know, I think these days you see a lot of post-up, two-man basketball, either pick and roll or, you know, feed the post and force the double team, kick it out. That's pretty predictable, you know what I mean? And even though a lot of these guys look open, flat-footed shots are pretty tough. You know, where you stand maybe for 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden they kick it to you. You've been standing there and you're flat-footed. You know, although you're open, it's a tougher shot. To me, I'd rather shoot the ball on the move, come off a screen, just moving, even just running. You know, because I've never went in the gym once and practiced standing still. Every time I practice shooting or practice anything, it's off the move. You know, and so sometimes they're kind of unnatural shots to take. But again, you know, that's where the game is at. You have to adjust. And, you know, I haven't put a lot of thought into that. I know UB Brown says the closer three makes it easier to defend, where they feel there's going to be more shooting out there. I guess all these things combined, you know, adds up to that. But, I mean, I've heard you say, which is true, a few years back they said no one plays defense, and now they say no one can play offense. So, you know, it's, I guess whatever you do, if people are going to pick on, you know, whatever's not going right.
But for your own personal play, you and I chatted before a game when you were off to a great start shooting the ball, and I said, why is it clicking for you this year? And you said, I'm just not going to get into this. I'm not going to take bad shots night to night like so many guys in this league do. Is it difficult not to get caught up in the flow of taking bad shots?
Well, there's a fine line there. You know, there's a fine line between not taking bad shots and then turning down shots. You know what I mean? And that's a dangerous, you know, that's a balance which, you know, not only in basketball, we all strive for in life. But a lot of my shots are dictated by the way we play. If they're going to, you know, help a little bit. You know, a lot of my shots come off spree drive and Joe getting double. You know, I'm not handling the ball as much as I once did. So a lot of my shots are dictated by what my teammates, what they do to them, dictates what comes my way. And the other thing, which, you know, when you did ask me that, it was either that night or going home, the other thing, which is probably the most obvious, which I didn't even think, was my health. I think I'm healthier now than I've ever been. And not so much the hand injuries, because there are things that go away, but I think during that time, being in and out of the lineup, and when I was out, I was killing myself to get back. By the time I got back, I was so tired physically. You know, I would work out 3 times a day on my own just to stay ready. And then, you know, sometimes I was out 3 and 4 months. That's an awful lot of stuff to do to your body when you're not even playing. So I think I'm just healthier physically, and in turn, you know, they go together, obviously, mentally. But, yeah, I think, you know, I've got a lot of respect the way I was taught to play, and I think it's a good way to play. But there is a balance. The game has changed. I have to change a little bit, too. But also, you can't have 3 guys out there looking for their shot all the time. That doesn't help the team either. I think about that, too. How can I help the team? You know, just because I'm hot doesn't mean all of a sudden I should take 25 shots that night, because that's not the team's scheme right now. So, you know, there's a balance there between, yeah, you know, you make your shots, but that doesn't always mean you just take more. You know, I thought the other night against, whoever that last game was against, you know, I made a lot of shots in a row, but in the second half I didn't get many shots, but we were getting layups because they were running a lot of things towards me, and my man wasn't helping. So when a guy lays the ball in because my man didn't help, that's as good as a shot to me. Or if a guy runs at me, I throw the ball in to Joe for an easy shot. That's just like getting a shot. It's just someone else made it. So I think, you know, you don't always have to hurt the opposing team with a shot. You know, maybe spacing, back pick, or whatever you may do, which doesn't show up. But I think just to play the game the right way is important to me.
And the Warriors certainly in the first half missed the presence of Chris Mullen, played only 2 minutes. Warriors were up 11, but at half they are down at 2. We'll come back, rejoin Jim, and show you some of the first half highlights. After a 30-point first quarter, the Warriors could muster only 19 points in the second quarter, and they are down 2 points at halftime, Jim. As we take a look at our Chrysler halftime highlights, the Warriors just did not shoot the ball very well in that first half.
Well, the defense of Vancouver had something to do with that. Early on, though, baskets came very easily, but not so in the second quarter. And Roy Rogers made his presence felt 3 times in a row on this one as he changed the shot of Joe Smith and then finally pulled the rebound. You can see the disparity in shooting percentage from first to second quarters for both clubs. Now, Joe Smith got off to a very nice start in the first quarter. Scored 12 of his 15 in the first quarter. He was 5 for 8 from the floor and only 1 for 5 for 6 thereafter. But still, smooth in the basketball game. They're going to need his second half production with Mullen out of the game. Now here's a guy, as a junior, averaged 3.5 points a game, Greg, at Alabama. Then as a senior, 13.5 points a game. And Roy Rogers has come in here tonight off the bench and given him not only shot blocking presence, but 8 points as well. But Sharif Abdur-Rahim, was he smooth?
Yes, he was. And now we receive a word from Warrior trainer Tom Abdenar that Chris Mullen will not be playing in the second half of this ball game. And I think where the Warriors miss him the most, as he was poked in the eye by Sharif Abdur-Rahim at 2 minutes into the game. He was actually poked in the eye area. He had his eyelid shut at the time, but it has swelled up on him and it has changed color. I think the Warriors miss his defense. And I know you're probably going to fall off your couch when I make that statement, but Sharif Abdur-Rahim lit up first Donyell Marshall, later Latrell Sprewell. Maybe they're going to have to turn to Ray Owens to guard him, but without the size of Mullen, Jim, it's going to be difficult to find a guy to stop Sharif tonight.
Well, Chris plays defense differently than anybody in the NBA. First of all, he can get beaten off the dribble, but he's very smart and he has a sixth sense as to where someone's going to go. He does a real good scouting report on each individual, and he also can disrupt with the quick hands, and I think that's where he could possibly bother Sharif Abdur-Rahim, although Rahim in 17 minutes tonight, 18 points.
He did not score a single point while Mullen was in the game for those 2 very brief minutes of play. In fact, it was 6-0 when Mullen was in the game. The Warriors built the lead up to 11 after he left, but fell apart in that second quarter, begin the third quarter with a deficit of 2 points. In Mullen's absence, the Warriors start Donyell Marshall at small forward. Backcourt is Price and Sprewell alongside Donyell up front, Joe Smith and Felton Spencer. Here goes Donyell Marshall, knocking one down behind the screen.
Well, as you mentioned, played very well up there when the Warriors only had 8 players on November the 3rd. In 19 minutes, 10.7 rebounds. He needs to get some confidence built. That's good defense. See, Reeves wants it again.
They triple him this time, and he's forced into a second traveling violation of the game. What the Grizzlies just did there a moment ago is something they have not been doing, and obviously Brian Winters wants done. When Reeves throws the ball back out, don't necessarily move the ball to the opposite side of the floor and give up on Reeves. Go right back into him and let him reset his position.
Yeah, but he's also got to realize that he may have to throw it back out again for a second time. He had his mind made up on that last play.
I agree. And he actually met 2 help defenders in midair, and obviously a couple of guys were open. Rice missing a 3-pointer. There he goes, Abdur-Rahim. Joe Smith's going to slide over and pick him up. That means Donyell Marshall's matching up with George Lynch. Can he keep George off the boards? Sprewell commits a traveling violation as he stumbles into the forecourt. It's been a sloppy affair for both clubs tonight. These 2 teams have combined to commit 23 turnovers.
Remember last game I said sometimes Latrell gets going so fast he fools his own teammates and they get in the way. That's exactly what happened on that last sequence as he came into Joe Smith.
A technical foul's been called.
This is very uncharacteristic.
It's on
Sharif
Abdur-Rahim. Is that his first professional technical?
I'd have to look at that. It wouldn't surprise me. He's a very calm young man and very well-mannered. Doesn't get ruffled. Again, I want to say something again about his dribble. Lionel Hollins, an assistant coach, has worked very diligently with Sharif. He does not waste his dribble. He makes a dribble work for him. Look at this. See?
Mark Price, a tough rebound in traffic. Warriors are up by 1 point. Here's Donyell. Joe Smith gave him the "let's pump it up" sign going back, something he and Sprewell have been doing, and now Joe really trying to get it to Donyell. After you dunk like that, Donyell, get into it.
Yeah, that's the raise the roof. Raise the roof.
Warriors swarm Abdur-Rahim. Young man stays poised always. Mayberry a 3. Rebound to a very animated and aggressive Donyell Marshall. He has 7 rebounds tonight along with 9 points.
Donyell may play poorly, but he'll always get rebounds for you if he gets minutes.
Joe Smith against Lynch. Good defense by George Lynch. And Lynch tips the rebound away from Spencer and over to his teammate Bryant Reeves. Here comes Lynch. Lynch, a quiet game, just 2 points and 4 rebounds. He had 16 against his former team, the Lakers, on Sunday night. Fouled inside. As Sharif goes to the rack again.
You see how he got there? He faces up like a small man. When he catches the ball, he just doesn't back in. See, he faces up, and he comes at you like a normal two-guard would. Using that dribble, keeping it alive, because he knows the value of that. And a lot of young players don't. And I'm very surprised that he is that fundamentally sound.
20 points for Sharif Abdur-Rahim. He is Vancouver's leading scorer at 15 points a game and the third top rookie scorer behind Allen Iverson and Kerry Kittles.
You know, he also works.
Well, nice play by Peeler, picking Springwell clean. That is Springwell's 6th turnover of the game.
He also works with a guy named Glenn Graham, who also works with Joe Smith. Helped both those players. He's a guy that just teaches footwork.
Reeves dunks. Warriors have a problem here. They're down 1 again without Chris Mullen in the second half, and for virtually the entire game, he played only the first 2 minutes of the game. This is not going to come easily.
He obviously has a problem seeing, because it looked like it was just a contusion.
Another good defensive play. Springwell lost the ball again. Springwell's turned the ball over 3 times in the first 3 minutes of the second half. He now has 7 in the game. George Lynch up the floor for the goal. Springwell was cutting down his turnovers, but lately he has been committing a bushel full of them, and he's averaging over 4 turnovers a game, Spree. Here goes Peeler. Nice block by Danielle Marshall. Out to George Lynch. Lynch hits back-to-back baskets, and Rick Adelman stops it. An 8-0 Vancouver run. And the Grizzlies, they've only won 1 time all year on the road. That was in San Antonio. They can taste one tonight.
This copyrighted broadcast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Well, Danielle Marshall has had his moments, Jim, and figuratively, he has raised the roof tonight, but the Warriors don't want to see the top of the San Jose Arena collapse on them tonight. They cannot afford to lose this game, but they have been turning the ball over just too many times in the second half.
Reach in, and it goes off the thigh of Sprewell. Marshall cannot convert.
Rebound to Anthony Peeler. Charging on Peeler, ball goes back over to the Warriors. Warriors have committed 13 turnovers, and the Grizzlies have committed 13 turnovers.
That's twice. Now, Peeler has challenged Danielle Marshall, but you see, Marshall got good position initially, and had he not gotten the foul or gotten the bump and the charge, he still was going to give Anthony Peeler a Spalding burger.
Never heard it put quite that way. Here's Joe Smith. Oh, good rebound by Danielle. Sprewell, a 3-pointer. Danielle made it happen. That was a long-armed rebound.
Yep. And they didn't call over the back. That's how you have to educate the officials, that you can do those kinds of things if you've got some gifts.
Anthony Peeler left 2 open, but he missed the shot. Brian Reeves got nailed in the chops. Sprewell trying to tie the game. Well, you knew they were going to turn it over eventually the way they were going.
Yeah, Sprewell should have had the turnover himself.
Abdur-Rahim, the miss. Rebound pulled by Lynch. Blocked. Lynch got stubborn. And it's out of bounds off of the Warriors. George Lynch, really a hard worker. Did not have much of a first half, but he's going to lay it out here in the second half.
I remember him with the Lakers. He always came out early. He was one of the first Lakers out of the locker room long before the game to work on a little 15-foot jump shot, because that is his weakness. Not being able to put the ball in the hoop.
He blasted the Lakers the other day in the Vancouver newspapers, saying he guarantees they will fall apart after the All-Star break. I wonder how he's going to do that for Vancouver.
They cleared Peeler and they cleared Lynch off their roster because of salary cap room to give it to Shaquille O'Neal. And I don't think the Lakers, in fact, I think they'll get stronger. Sharif, nice smooth move and a little jump hook inside.
Danielle drives, pulls up. Rebound. Shot over the head of Felton Spencer. Peeler to Abdul Rahim, and he spins it around. It's a foul. Foul called on Danielle Marshall, his third of the game. 22 for Abdul Rahim, 6 for Lynch, 10 for Reeves. Off the bench, Roy Rogers has scored 8. Warriors miss Mullen. They've only got 2 from his spot. Joe Smith, 15 points. Felton Spencer has not scored a hoop. He has made 2 free throws. Big country. And he gets himself on the line. Again, fouled by Danielle Marshall. Danielle picks up fouls number 3 and 4 in seconds. We'll see what Adelman does. Right now, you can just see him. He's wondering what he will do.
Felton Spencer is bleeding from the elbow.
They don't want him to leave. Danielle may have to go off here. Well, Felton's going to have to leave the game. They're not going to be able to close that in time. It's a pretty bad flow of blood coming down his elbow on the left arm. So he's out of there. Todd Fuller goes in. Ray O's will also check in. Danielle forced off the floor due to foul trouble. Let's see if the Warriors put O's onto Sharif. They have been defending him with Joe Smith throughout this quarter.
Joe Smith has blood on his jersey. And the officials haven't seen that yet, but he's trying to hide it. Right now, Tom Abdenauer is trying to scrape it off. And Kenny Maurer says, what are we waiting for? Now he's noticing what's going on.
Well, how could you miss this?
Little cleanup job. Well, he came out, originally, Joe came back out on the floor and had his arm across his chest, hiding that area.
It is not his own blood. It's obviously Felton Spencer's blood.
Yes.
But they have to make sure that blood cannot be transmitted to the player. Ken Maurer suggesting club soda. I hear that. I watched Martha Stewart today. I think that would work.
It's sufficiently dry now.
Thank you, Doctor.
I'm assuming it is. I don't see much difference in color. It's
Well,
still
don't
there.
ever assume.
Right.
You know what happens. Brian Reeves from Gans, Oklahoma. Population 300. A lot of pressure on this young man. Came into camp out of shape. Then got injured during training camp, a bulging disc, later a left hamstring bruise. And he has just not performed well, shooting only 43% from the floor, which is very poor for a big player. Used to be poor for everybody, no longer. Throw away almost. Freewell saves it. Holding foul on Lee Mayberry. Mayberry picks up his 4th foul.
It still seems like the Warriors are trying to thread a needle and just force something in there that really isn't there. Taking a very high risk.
Greg Anthony returns. Greg Anthony, the final year of his contract. Word is the Grizzlies have been trying to move him. He likely will not be brought back next season. He could help somebody. He's a good player, Greg Anthony. Very good defender. He's become a good three-point shooter.
Yeah, he's just a streaky offensive player. But last year he led them in scoring, about 14 a game.
He'd be a very good backup point guard.
Yes.
Good team.
Yes.
Joe Smith gets it down. 17 for Joe. Warriors trailing the Grizzlies 63 to 59. Vancouver's won only 6 games all year. They've beaten Phoenix, San Antonio twice, Orlando, Houston, and Washington. And they move a big step closer as a three-pointer is knocked in
By Peeler.
by Anthony Peeler.
You see what the second group of the Grizzlies got them going. It's got the first group going.
That could be a breakaway. Anthony wants a piece of Fuller. There's the Greg Anthony we know and love from the Knicks. Remember that fight he got into with Kevin Johnson? One of the ugliest brawls in the last decade of NBA play. He wanted to go right at Fuller.
I remember that because that's when Pat Riley tore his pants trying to break that one up.
But when you buy those cheap Italian suits, Jim, that happens sometimes.
I didn't think it was much of a foul. I mean, certainly it was a foul there, but I thought Greg
wanted
Anthony
He
just
wanted
got a little
Fuller.
overexcited. Now, but the point I'm making is, primarily the second quarter, the bench for the Grizzlies came in. They scored 20 of the 30 points that Vancouver scored in that second quarter. They played the tough defense. Roy Rogers comes in, gives you 8 points. Only 1 block shot, but a couple of intimidations. And overall defense just made it tough on the Warriors to score. And now the first club for Vancouver's picked it up. So watch what happens when the other group comes back in. It could spell danger.
Look at the scoreboard here. It's a 6-point game. What a shot by Sprewell. Warriors needed that. They are down 6 to the Vancouver Grizzlies. They have to face this team tomorrow night in Vancouver. Here's Sharif. Back to the free throw line he goes for attempts numbers 7 and 8.
One of the reasons he gets to the line so much, he's got a vast array of moves. He's not predictable at all. He can do a lot of things, and he can regain control very quickly. He can seemingly be out of control, but he can come back. He just has great body movement and great balance.
22nd timeout called by Adelman. And with all due respect to the Cal basketball program, Sharif Abdur-Rahim made the right decision to leave Berkeley after 1 year. It was a tough decision. He kept going back and forth with the choice, but there's no doubt that he's ready for the NBA at the tender age of 20. Keith Van Horn of the Utah Utes. He could have been an NBA lottery pick last year, decided to stay in school. Well, he's going to be forced out this year, his final year, one of the top players in the country. And he'll be taking on the BYU Cougars this Saturday. We'll have that game for you at 7 o'clock. The Utes ranked number 5 this early year. Have one of the best coaches in college basketball in Rick Majerus. Abdur-Rahim, the highest selected freshman in the history of the NBA draft. He went number 3 overall. Iverson went number 1. I wonder if Toronto regrets the choice they made, Jim, of picking Marcus Camby, who has had health problems this rookie year. It's obviously very early, but I'd have to say a little bit I've seen of both players that Abdur-Rahim is the more talented player.
They're different types of players. I think Marcus Camby will probably be more of a presence inside as far as defense and rebounding, but certainly he's not going to do as much for you, much more one-dimensional than Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
Price right through the lane. Mark Price with that bucket has 11 points, 9,998 in his career. The next hoop will be a milestone for Price. Big Country Reeves missed. Look at Abdur-Rahim out. Race Rayos knocked the ball into the Warrior bench. The Warriors will get the ball back.
I think this is a nice matchup with Oz and Sharif. Two guys about the same size, jumping jacks, quick jumpers, long arms.
Joe Smith fouled. 3-point play opportunity. That was a tough shot by Joe Smith, but he knocked it down.
Did you see how quickly he recognized the situation? He lost his man. Lynch goes for the steal, but watch this. Puts it on the floor, brings it back quickly. The little guard, Anthony Peeler, thought he might get a steal, but Joe is very quick reacting in those situations. Good presence.
20 points for Joe Smith, 17 for Sprewell, 11 for Mark Price. Warriors playing without Chris Mullin, and it's showing. Mullin injured in the game's first 2 minutes. Sprewell fouling Anthony Peeler.
That's the threat of the three-point shot. Spree was giving himself up because he thought Peeler was going to launch it.
The Warriors have committed more than 5 fouls during the bonus. The referees are unaware of this. And Ken Mauer turns and playfully barks back at PA announcer Dick Callahan, who points out that the Grizzlies are in the bonus. There should be free throws, guys. Here we go. They were going to inbound the ball. Dalton Spencer back in for the Warriors. See the wrap on the left elbow to close that wound and the flow of blood that forced him off the floor. Well, here's a shocker. Vancouver, not a very good free throw shooting club. But they've had 17 of 20 tonight. They are the 26th free throwing club in a 29-team NBA, under 69%. That means 4 teams, Jim, are shooting under 69% in this league.
It's pretty abysmal.
That's not good. Not good at all. Hubie Brown points out that that alone is a big reason why scoring is down. At least from last year, the free throwing has been brutal this year. Joe Smith.
Well, it's a very valid point, because if you're scoring less, the free throws become more important. And if you're shooting them at a poorer percentage, it just accelerates the problem.
Foul on George Lynch, his third of the game. For Vancouver, their third team foul, a non-shooter for the Warriors. Precisely 3 minutes to go, third quarter. Vancouver with a 4-point lead. Spencer's going to set a pick for Price, so a bone-jarring one. Price! That would have been 10,000 and more, but he missed the shot. He's 2 away from 10 grand. Good pass by Anthony right into Reeves. Reeves wants to reset. He's not nearly as comfortable from that block, but he was able to finally shoot it up and in.
Probably a move he doesn't work on too much, but
He threw it back out. He was there. He didn't want that shot. Sprewell. 2-pointer for Sprewell.
now surely they're going to stop the game when Mark Price gets the 10,000.
Look at Joe dive for it. Anthony Peeler likes to take the baseline. Reverse shot. What a play by Peeler. He missed the shot, but what an effort that was. And a foul has been called on Sharif Abdur-Rahim in the battle for the missed shot, his second foul of the game. A little reminiscent of the Doctor against the Lakers, only one difference. Doc made his shot. Vancouver leads by 3 with 2 minutes to go in the quarter. And that is the correct score here in San Jose. The scoreboard has 69. They gave Sprewell an extra point on that last shot, but it was a 2-pointer. The Warriors are down 4 with 2:03 to go in the quarter.
Well, Vancouver did the right thing initially on this play. As we go ahead, 2 Warriors are out of the play, and now you've got 5 on 3. Now you stop it right here. Maybe you throw over the top to Big Country, but you do have Rayos on the other side. But watch what happens as Peeler goes baseline. Country's going to make a big screen here and just hold out for Anthony Peeler to go reverse. He does not get the layup. So they come out of it with nothing.
Less than 2 to go in the third quarter. Warriors looking to avoid the NBA equivalent of catastrophe. Price, that ball came out of his hand, left immediately, and Joe Smith able to put it back in. Big night for Joe, 22 points and a dozen rebounds. In just a moment here, Rick Adelman's going to go back to his bench, bring in V.J. Armstrong and Bimbo Coles. They're going to have to play better in the third quarter and the early part of the fourth than they played in the second.
Rayos fighting for position, fronting. That's what you have to do. You know, the one sure way to stop a hot shooter is just limit his possessions. Don't let him catch the ball as easily. Because when a guy's going so well and has that much talent, he's simply halfway there just when he catches the ball.
Abdur-Rahim is having a great free throwing game. He's made all 9. This after making just 4 of 10 in his last game, a loss at home to the Lakers. A 10 free throw performance for the rookie on his way to 26 points. His career high is 28. He got that at Phoenix. Sprewell, a 3-pointer. Rebound to Anthony Peeler.
They missed Abdur-Rahim twice.
Rayos may be the Warrior best matchup against Sharif. Ray is the same size at 6'9", has long arms, and a very athletic player.
You know, Roy Rogers changes this entire defense. He can block shots inside, but he goes beyond the 3-point line to help out. Right now, he's just simply zoning up.
Made Bimbo Coles fumble it over the end line. Roy Rogers has not had a big statistical game as far as blocking shots. He's only been given credit for 1, but he has changed many others, and he has just had the Warriors searching for the leaper all night. Abdur-Rahim, 28 points. He has tied his career high
with a quarter to go.
And he has been consistently excellent the entire game. Abdul Rahim. He is just a smooth scorer. And he's only 20 years old. Tipped that ball out of bounds. It will be Warrior basketball, but not for much longer. The shot clock is down to 3.
Abdul Rahim is one of those players that'll get you 28, 32, and you won't really notice that. You'll notice it once in a while, but he does it so effortlessly.
Sprewell over Abdul Rahim. With the shot clock down, rebound, Joe climbs it back. That will give Greg Anthony a couple of free throws for Joe Smith. He picks up a costly foul, number 4. See what Adelman does. Will he give Joe a late rest here? 9 seconds to go in the third quarter. It would be a real problem if Joe would be forced into his 5th foul before this quarter would close.
It was a calculated risk. Long rebound after a 30-foot shot attempt by Spree, going against a smaller man. He thought he might get the angle on it and just unfortunately collided too much.
Greg Anthony right around his average coming into the game of 10.9 points a game, and he's bettered his assist average at 5.8. Andrew DeClercq is the choice. This will be Andrew's first playing time since the first half against Charlotte on Monday night. He did not get it all into the game in the first half and didn't play it all in the second half against the Hornets. Anthony gives Vancouver a lead of 8 points, and that's their largest of the game. Another tip by Abdul Rahim, a steal by Anthony, the NBA's number 3 steal man, and that's the way the third quarter ends. In a word, ominously for the Golden State Warriors. Without Chris Mullin, after the first 2 minutes of the game, their offenses lack continuity and flow, and they can't find a way to stop Sharif. They're down 8 as we enter the final 12. Here's tonight's Discover card, NBA notebook note of the ball game. Latrell Sprewell and Joe Smith, the 3rd highest scoring duo in the NBA. The other 4, though, all are winning clubs and excellent clubs. Vin Baker and Glenn Robinson of Milwaukee, a 500 record. And they have other players to help them night to night. It's not just those 2 players on each club. Tonight, the Warriors are minus a very important other player in Chris Mullin. And it's important that Sprewell and Joe feel, Jim, that they don't necessarily have to win this game all by their collective lonesomes. Sprewell has turned the ball over 8 times. He's going to have to find a way to get everybody involved in this 4th quarter.
You know, that's the problem you run into when you've got a lot of talent and you feel like you've got to take over a game. You feel like that responsibility is primarily yours, and it isn't always the case. You do have teammates, and let's face it, B.J. Armstrong gets open shots. He's going to knock it down with as much regularity as Latrell Sprewell, or perhaps even more. So you do have to play within the framework of the club and not try to get it back all at once. But I tell you what, you can't be very casual with the ball. I thought he was very casual handling that ball in the 3rd period.
He had 4 of his 8 turnovers in that quarter alone. Slips inside and is fouled by Anthony Peeler. Peeler's 3rd foul of the game.
I've said many times that Latrell really plays better without the basketball. He is so tough to defend if they run plays for him like that. We saw that against Philadelphia. We saw that against Charlotte, and it was effective both times.
Sprewell not getting on the free throw line tonight like he normally does. Has 21 points. He has made just 3 of 3 from the line. Warriors going to a trap. Lee Mayberry, one of the best assist turnover ratios in the NBA, not at all rattled. The first couple of minutes of this 4th quarter are going to be very important. Lou Edwards is now in. Over to Anthony Peeler for a 3, and Vancouver has a game-high lead of 9 points. If they continue to lead by 8 to 10, Jim, for the next 3 or 4 minutes, they're going to be a tough team to beat down the stretch.
The confidence has been bolstered. And you should have seen Blue Edwards' face after he made that assist over to Anthony Peeler for the long 3.
Well, good move by Sprewell. Did not get the shot, though. And the rebound up to Abdul Rahim.
The Warriors,
Blue Edwards.
Warriors aren't getting any easy baskets. They're not getting any fast breaks. All they're scoring is essentially done through their half-court offense tonight.
Peeler out of the corner. 83 to 72.
We said he was streaky, and when he gets on a run and a roll, he's difficult to stop. He was 0 for 4 at halftime.
Bimbo Coles, a three. Warriors desperately needed that. Rebound over to Roy Rogers. The season opener, the Warriors lost to the LA Clippers here, a very numbing way to begin the new year. But if they lose this game tonight, this would rank #1, the worst loss of the year. And that's a foul as Peeler scores. The fourth quarter could not have started in any possible worse way than this. The Warriors struggling offensively, and Anthony Peeler all of a sudden is going off. And the Warriors are down big numbers here. Well, the Warriors are in big trouble here, Brian. A clear and present danger looms inside the San Jose Arena as the Vancouver Grizzlies have stretched an 8-point third quarter lead out to 13 going on 14. Anthony Peeler, Jim, has scored 7 points in 70 seconds.
I said he is a very streak shooter. 0 for 4 in the first half. He's knocked down 3 in a row. One of them a 3-point shot. He got fouled on that 2-point attempt. Has a chance to go to the line and complete a 3-point play. He once scored 43 points in college against the University of Kansas. He was the Big 8 player of the year.
That senior year with Missouri averaged over 23 points a game. He was a Laker round 1 draft pick in '92. Played 4 years there. He was in and out of the lineup. And then when the Lakers drafted Eddie Jones, the writing was on the wall. He was going to be eventually shipped out of town. Having a well-rounded game tonight. Anthony Peeler.
The last 10 games he's had, he's been averaging 21 points a game, so you knew he was capable of catching fire.
How do the Warriors come back here? Down 14 points. They're going to have to share the ball offensively. Sprewell fires a 3. Roy Rogers the rebound. Everybody is deferring to Sprewell. Nobody else wants to take any of the responsibility here with the exception of Joe Smith. That's where the loss of Mullen really hurts. Mullen would certainly help get the game into a better flow offensively. Edwards, long one. This team, the confidence is just oozing right out of those jerseys. They have only won 1 time on the road all year.
Yeah, they can taste it now. See, they can start to feel a little bit.
They beat San Antonio on December the 6th at the Alamo Dome, 105 to 89. Joe Smith able to score with the left hand as he went in awkwardly, but he got it down.
And Sharif stayed right with him. You're in trouble here.
They put Abdul Rahim back on the line. Foul on Felton Spencer, his 4th foul of the game. Warriors are going to make changes. B.J. Armstrong's playing time for the evening and this half. Very terse. He's out of there, and they're going to bring Mark Price back into the game. If he makes this free throw, and he does, Sharif Abdur-Rahim has scored more points tonight than he has ever scored in the NBA. He had a 28-point, 14-rebound game in Phoenix. Tonight he has gone for 30 points.
There it is. And believe me, he's far from finished.
9 minutes to go. Price into Felton. Good pass. Block. Goaltending on Roy Rogers. Second time Rogers called for it. They've also called a foul on Vancouver. So Spencer will go for a 3-point play. Foul is on Sharif.
This would have been close. I'm not so sure that this was going to go in. He's right at the basket, but it may have been a little offline and a little long. It's clearly goaltending, but that ball was not going to slip through the net cleanly.
Sharif will take a rest here. Boy, Rogers plays like he's spring-loaded. He goes up and tries to get everything. He's going to have to be a little discerning. Well, that was a hard one for him to tell that the ball may have missed.
Well, he tied the NCAA record with 14 blocks in a game last year, but I still can't understand why he only got 9.3 rebounds as a senior at Alabama.
He wasn't much of a player at all his junior year.
No.
He was a late bloomer. There goes Sprewell. Good pass into Spencer. And a nice shot over a swarm of reaching Vancouver defenders.
Finally. I wasn't sure he was going to get it off. It took him a while, but he banked it home. Now the Warriors set up a little trap.
Mayberry into Reeves. And he's on the line. Fouled again by Spencer. And now Felton has been taken to the brink of elimination. He has 5 personals. Will Adelman roll the die here and let him play, or will he save him for later? There may not be a later the way it's going, though.
When you break the press, if you continue to attack the basket, you've got numbers in your favor and spacing in your favor. That's exactly what they did. I'd love to see a press come. And if you get rid of the ball right around half court and get the ball in the middle, you've got a lot of options.
Best game for Bryant Reeves in weeks. He had not scored more than 13 points in any of his past 10 games. And his last game was arguably his worst game as a pro. And it wasn't just Shaq. He had open shots in that game outside. He just pulled the trigger on. A real confidence booster tonight for Big Country Reeves and this entire Vancouver franchise. And if the Warriors do lose this game, tomorrow night's game is going to be real tough up there, as this team is going to have confidence now. They have a lead of 94-78. Blue Edwards fires, even though Reeves was open inside for a pass.
I don't know how he missed him. Warriors going to break.
Edwards, who spoke out earlier this year, calling his teammates selfish. Blocked. Blue got him from behind, but he hammered Joe in the process.
Nice pass inside to Joe Smith. Nearly a touch pass completed to Felton. But I'm not so sure that Roy Rogers wouldn't have gotten a piece of Felton's shot because he was poised. And Smith does earn a trip to the line.
Greg Anthony comes in for the Grizzlies, and Anthony Peeler takes a rest. Peeler scored 8 points in a minute 10 and leaves with 15 points. They're going to go with defense now. Anthony in the backcourt with Lee Mayberry. Up front they play Blue Edwards, Roy Rogers, and Bryant Reeves. Sharif Abdur-Rahim still resting. Warriors down 14 with 7 minutes and 20 seconds to play. They double Reeves immediately on catch. He steps right through it and scores. Stepped right through the double team of Mark Price.
Yeah, that's his pet move and pet shot. They've all got confidence right now.
Foul. And the Warriors are lucky. That was a bad entire sequence. Bimbo slipping in the wing. Threw a dangerous pass into Joe that may have been swiped if there was not the reaching foul called on Roy Rogers.
Mark Price went up high, and I don't know why on that play, because he's got to stay down low. Country had to put something on it before then.
Joe Smith missed the dunk. Fouled by Roy Rogers. Well, that was fun. Joe will be on the line.
I'll say this, he met him at the top. I mean, Joe just tried to hammer it down, but Roy Rogers did have pretty good position, and he was right at the apex.
Rogers, 1.7 blocks a game, Jim, playing 18.5 minutes tonight. That's 1 block every 11 minutes. The 4th highest frequency of blocks in the league, behind probably the 3 best shot blockers in basketball. Sean Bradley, Jim McIlvain, and Dikembe. This guy's right there.
Dikembe, what, 21 rebounds last night, 22 points?
Well, he's playing well. All those bad things I said about him when he was in Denver.
Yeah, he is kind of better, isn't he? He's scoring. He's playing real well for Lenny Wilkins. Lenny's getting him the ball.
I won't believe it till I see it.
Well, at least Lenny's getting his players to get him the ball.
They got a good club. Been healthy. Steve Smith playing well.
And they're tough at home.
Christian Leitner's having a big year. Meanwhile, 3-second violation on Vancouver. Brian Winter's club began 0-7. They were 1-11 and then 2-16. They were 3-19 before they won 3 games out of 7. But they come in tonight having lost their last 5. This would be a very important win. Roy Rogers hammers Joe Smith. 5 fouls on Rogers. Finally, some good news for the Warriors in the 4th quarter. If Rogers is forced off the floor here.
They didn't object, but I didn't see the foul. Let's see this. Okay, a little bit of body, because again, he's got great timing. He didn't really like the call, but he did not raise too much of a fuss, and neither did Brian Winters.
28 points, 12 rebounds for Joe. Joe getting to the free throw line tonight, which is always a good sign.
You know, Joe's first half points came much easier to him, particularly in the first quarter. In the second half, he's really having to work to put up those numbers, and you can see the difference.
Lee Mayberry, guarded by Mark Price. Brian Reeves watched that left block. Backs in. He turns baseline this time. Rogers tipped the rebound over to Lee Mayberry. Vancouver has out-rebounded the Warriors tonight, 41-38. This is the worst rebounding team in pro basketball. Ooh, I thought for certain Rogers was going to rip that one, but he lost the ball.
Warriors dodged a bullet, and they can cut it.
Be nice if they can make an open shot here. They've had a couple. Bimbo Coles has missed a couple of open shots. Loose ball foul on the Warriors. Bimbo Coles 0 for 5 from the floor.
And he made that, it would have been a 10-point lead. Would have been a huge sequence. Roy Rogers had a complete dunk on that offensive rebound and couldn't hang on to the ball.
There was no foul a moment ago. The ball was just pushed out of bounds by the Warriors. No foul. Pick and roll. Mayberry to Blue Edwards. There goes Greg Anthony. Fouled on the release.
Oh, that
with
that,
1 second on the 24.
Greg Anthony is not a great shooter. Greg Anthony had to force the shot.
Greg Anthony shot that off 1 foot on the move.
Going,
let him shoot.
Yeah, going to his right, and Spree unfortunately just bailed him out. So that, when you, as an offensive player, you say, thank you very much.
And as a defensive player, you just let him shoot it. If it goes in, great. How much longer is Winters going to leave Abdul Rahim on the bench? Well, I guess as long as those 14 points.
Yeah, and as long as this other group can continue to play defense, although when he was out there, that's when they got the big lead. Also when he was scoring and everybody else was defending, and also picked up his defensive game. I thought he played much better defense in the second half, in that third quarter.
I don't think his defense is nearly as bad as the coaches in Vancouver say it is.
Well, it was.
They would know better than us.
It was early in the game, I thought it was, but I thought the third quarter was pretty respectable.
Well, for a guy that scores 30 points as easily as he does, any defense is good enough.
Is a plus.
He's going to come back into the game. Next stoppage of play, Sharif. They show a traveling violation on Reeves. Brian Reeves felt he was shoved in the back by Felton Spencer, which would have disqualified Felton. He didn't get that call. Sharif. They'll come back in. When we come back, timeout called by Rick Adelman. 4.5 to go. The Grizz up 15. Well, Jim, at the top of the broadcast, we said last game was a tough one, the loss to Charlotte from a Warrior perspective, but the next two appear eminently winnable. Well, maybe we spoke too soon, huh? Warriors are losing at home tonight to Vancouver. They're going to have to go up to General Motors Place tomorrow in BC and play them again. That's not going to be easy. And then they stay on the road for 5 games at Milwaukee, Boston, Philadelphia, Indiana, and Minnesota.
And Milwaukee beat Utah at home tonight in overtime.
Milwaukee's good. They are flat out good. And say all you want about Iverson and Abdul Rahim and Kittles, Ray Allen is the only one of the top 11 choices in the NBA draft last year to be on a winning team. As they're better than 500.
We told you those combo scores. Glenn Robinson 38 tonight. Vinny Baker 21. They combined for 59.
Joe Smith short. Spencer out of bounds. Will be Warrior ball. Is Felton okay? He is limping a bit, playing with a bad left foot. But he's playing tough. Felton Spencer has shown some toughness the last 2 games. And the Warriors are in desperate need of toughness.
And hoops.
They need that too, huh? Foul on Sharif. He has rocked the Casbah tonight, Sharif, with 30 big ones. That, for him, is personal foul number 4. Joe Smith on the line. Warriors have not cut into this lead at all. In the 4th quarter, they had made up nothing. Began the quarter down 8, fell behind by 16, and now they're down 14 and running out of time. 4 minutes and 18 seconds to avoid what will be a humbling defeat if it turns out that way. And for Vancouver, their win against San Antonio this year, 16-point spread, was their largest victory in the history of the franchise. A 16-point win. They're up by 13 right now. Their biggest win last year was 12 points. Foul. Felton Spencer's gone. He is fouled out of the game.
Now there's the thing you were alluding to and talking about earlier tonight. The ball goes in to Country Reeves. It comes right back out again to Greg Anthony. Now watch this great entry pass. See where that was? Country Reeves sealed on Felton Spencer, gave him the left hand, the open area, right on the money in there, and Country stayed, not so much just went to the ball, he just stayed with Felton on his back and created that play.
His numbers are down in every category this year as compared to last. But tonight, he is having one of his finest games of the year. 21 points, 6 rebounds for Bryant Reeves. Vancouver by 14.
Their 2 leading scorers weren't on the club last year.
3 by Joe Smith. For Joe, his 6th 3 of the year. 11-point game. Still time.
They need to stop.
Reeves against Fuller. Back out. Shot clock at 4. Blue Edwards. Lee Mayberry. Rebound. Joe Smith. Fouled by Big Country Reeves. Joe will be on the line. 3 minutes and 21 seconds to go. If Joe makes both free throws, the Warriors would be down 99-90. Here's Anthony Fielder returning. Lee Mayberry leaves.
Good rebound by Joe in traffic. Almost got too far under the basket, had to go back and get it. That's why Reeves climbed the back of Joe, because Reeves had a legitimate chance to get that ball.
Joe Smith is having a huge 4th quarter. He has scored 12 of his 34 in this quarter, which begs the Vancouver question, where's George Lynch? Right now, Brian Winters has gone small. He is playing a backcourt of Anthony and Peeler as Mayberry just left. Up front, he's playing Blue Edwards with Abdur Rahim and Bryant Reeves. Essentially, Blue Edwards and Abdur Rahim are small forwards.
Joe's got 14 of the 20 points in the 4th quarter. Only 6 from his teammates.
And Lynch is their best interior defender. You think he would come in to guard Joe. Ball pumped out of bounds. Finbo Cole's going for a steal, didn't quite get it. 3:09 to go. Vancouver has a shot clock reading 12.
Rick knows it's a time to make a move.
Peeler. Now time on the bench cooled him off, out of bounds, off of Vancouver. And Blue Edwards. Not a big crowd tonight, but those that are here are into it. Here's Joe. Abdur Rahim cannot guard him. They've got to get George Lynch back in. The Warriors have a hope. They're down 7. What a 4th quarter for Joe Smith. 16 of his 38 in the 4th. Joe Smith has gone mad in the 4th quarter on his way to a new career high, 38 points.
Knocks down a 3 from the outside. Strikes quickly. against Sharif Abdul-Rahim. And they need that kind of scoring, but right now they need defense even more. And they've been doing it the last 2 or 3 sequences.
Warriors down 7, Vancouver ball. Price knocked it out of bounds. Vancouver keeps the ball, shot clock at 13. Joe Smith, Todd Fuller, and Latrell Sprewell up front. In the backcourt, it's Mark Price and Bimbo Coles playing crunch time. The Grizzlies have not brought George Lynch back into the game. Here's Blue Edwards. Joe Smith the rebound.
Well, wouldn't it be ironic if Mark Price could not only get 10,000, but just bring the Warriors to within a little more striking distance.
A 3 by Sprewell. Bodies flying. The rebound goes to Blue Edwards. Joe Smith went down hard. Sprewell has missed his last 4 shots. Last 6 shots dating back to the 3rd quarter, and he's 0 for 4 in the 4th. And that missed shot up the floor. Abdul-Rahim scores. And Vancouver has grabbed control of the game again. It's a 9-point lead going on 10. They call Abdul-Rahim the franchise in Vancouver, and clearly he is. Joe Smith is likewise the franchise here, and they are just having magnificent games. Joe has outscored them by 6, but it's Vancouver with a 9-point lead. Do the Warriors have time to avoid what would be a very difficult setback, especially at home? Price all the way to the bucket. Tipped by Fuller twice. Loose ball foul on Vancouver. That will put Todd Fuller on the free throw line with 1 minute and 50 to play. Reeves picks up his 4th foul.
Price just cannot get good shots in the second half. He's 1 for 6. Good follow-up by Todd Fuller as he worked and got himself to the line.
Todd Fuller made his first point of the game. A little hard on the second one. Sprewell the rebound. Foul! They'll go for 2 and not 3. But the Warriors are chipping away here. But so is the clock. Yeah, that's the problem. Will the clock beat him?
Watch Sprewell come from the other side. You don't see that very often. A player come underneath from the other side and pick up a rebound. But Joe Smith put so much pressure inside on Abdul-Rahim, and Country couldn't stay with the quickness of Spree.
Looked like 2 on-rushing defensive linemen. 101-94. $101.95.
Yeah, they're going to employ a full court pressure. You can't afford to foul, and you can't let them get numbers ahead of you. A 4-on-3. They didn't do it. That's good. That's a moving screen by Country Reeves.
Peeler misses. Joe Smith the rebound. Anthony Peeler fell into Rick Adelman, but he's up and playing defense. Price into Fuller. He's got to score here. Rebound tipped out to Vancouver. Joe Smith, a foul on Joe as he appeared to pick Anthony. But Woody Mayfield calls him for a foul. It is Joe's 5th. More importantly, it puts Anthony on the free throw line.
Todd had a good look at the basket, just fell up short. Let's watch Joe as he reaches in. That is a clean steal.
That's what I thought when I watched it live.
Yeah, it's a clean steal. I'll tell you why. Watch the ball. It went away from Anthony Peeler. Or Greg Anthony, pardon me. If he'd hit him on the arm, the ball would have gone straight down.
Anthony made the first, a career 75% free thrower. This year at 71, having a good free throwing game. 16 points for Greg Anthony. Timeout, Rick Adelman. Warriors are not making up much of the deficit. Anthony, a little pain on the side, but it's the Warriors who are in pain right now. 103-95, they trail to Vancouver at home. Warriors down 8 with 1 minute and 19 seconds to go. Don't forget, we have women's NCAA basketball every Sunday on Sports Channel. And this Sunday, the Vanderbilt Commodores, year in and year out, one of the best teams in the nation. They'll be hosting the Arkansas Razorbacks. That is Sunday at 4 o'clock. Warriors in a real bind now, 1:19 to play. And look where Rick Allen's going to turn to, Daniel Marshall. Warriors have allowed 100 or more 18 previous times, and they have won only 3 of those. Vancouver, in scoring 103 tonight, have broken the century mark for just the 2nd time all year. And the first time was their only other road win when they beat the Spurs at the Alamo Dome 105-89. San Antonio fired Bob Hill right after that game. Actually, they played one more game and lost to the Warriors. Then he was fired, but it was that loss that did him in. And that shot by Joe Smith may have just done the Warriors in. Joe missed the fade. And now foul called on Mark Price. Price is still stuck on 9,998 points.
And it's not going to leave a good taste in his mouth if he gets one a little chippy at the end in this kind of defeat. It'll just take all the flavor away from that one.
Lee Mayberry averaging under 6 points a game. Not a very good free throw shooter at 67%. Has gone scoreless tonight, but he is a true point guard. He looks to pass before the shot. He's had 12 assists this year in a game, 11 another time. Gets 1 point tonight in 32 minutes of play so far. 1 more minute to go. Warriors down 9. Sprewell just has not made a shot in the 4th quarter. He's made 4 free throws, but that's it. In this quarter alone, over 5. He is 0-4. His last is 7, dating back to 3rd quarter. Abdul-Rahim with 34 points in a most successful Bay Area return tonight. It's one thing to score 34 and lose the game, but he's going to score 34 in a rousing victory for Joe Smith, trying to go for his first pro 40-point night. He misses a dunk. Marshall a 3-0. Rebound to Brian Reeves. It's going to be a very long flight for the Warriors up to Vancouver. They will fly in about an hour's time and have to face the same team tomorrow night. And this team is going to have a lot of confidence and energy for the game tomorrow night.
A lot of Bluebirds are in the San Jose Arena right now. And this is going to be, the Warriors will come out tomorrow night. They know they're going to have to play because this, I think, has shocked them tonight.
Abdur-Rahim with a stirring homecoming. He made 11 of 19 from the floor. He made 12 of 13 free throws. He went for 34. It is a 14-point victory for the Vancouver Grizzlies, the 2nd largest margin of victory in the history of their young franchise. We'll come back and pick up the pieces on the Sports Channel Report. Now it's back inside the studios and Brian Webb.